Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the very first episode of Drakenfest US, The Art of Reffing. I am going to be your host for tonight, Hugh, aka the Eldritch Author. I am so happy to be here. I have been attending Drakenfest US since year one. So, as a player and a lover of this magnificent event that occurs only once a year, shame, I am happy to talk with some of these amazing people who help make all of it possible. First things first, I want everybody to introduce themselves. First person up on the docket is going to be Reese, our very own head ref. Please, Reese, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do at Drakenfest.
Hi, I'm Reese, he, him. I am a longtime LARPer. I think we're coming up on 2 decades of being out in the woods and doing aggressive math at each other. Uh, I am the head ref of Drachenfest. I'm the coordinator for our volunteer team of referees. And I also is the one who wrote the training for making sure that referees know what they're doing when they're out there and how to help you all.
That is so very necessary. So you essentially provide the guidance that is required for refs to know what to do and how they go about it, right? Love that. Next up, we're going to talk with Metal. Metal, introduce yourself. Let us know a little bit about yourself and what you do at Drakenfest US.
Hey, I'm Metal. I am going to be the lead ref in Green Camp this year, and I'm going to talk tonight about the responsibilities of camp ref. I'm like with Reese, a little over 20 years of doing aggressive forest math at everybody. Super excited to be here.
Blood makes the grass grow. Love it, love it.
That is what they said.
Next up, Mars. A little bit about yourself and what do you do at Drakenfest?
That's me. My pronouns are they, them. I've been LARPing for, I think this year will be a decade, which is insane to think about. Um, I'm a Bazaar ref.
Excellent. Last but certainly not least, with the beard to beat them all, Red. Go.
Hi everyone, my name is Red. I'm your head battle ref. I've been LARPing for 28 years as of August, so I'm old. But I'm here to make sure that everything goes safely when it comes to all the fighting.
Excellent. So necessary, especially in such a highly competitive event like Drakenfest. But that's not all it's about, and we're about to find out. So, the art of refing here is going to be about what refs are, what they do, and whether that might appeal to you. So we're gonna go into a bit of like an interview phase where I'm going to address each of our beautiful, wonderful, amazing refs here, and they're gonna explain to us exactly what they do and how they are able to bring Drakenfest alive for all of the wonderful players that show up year after year. So Reese, can you tell us about the specifics of your role as the head ref of Drakenfest US?
Sure. It's a little bit of a mix of everything when you think
Mhm.
about a staff volunteer coordination role. I have to know the rule book so that I can answer player questions about the rules, the mechanics, the interactions. I have to know our staff policies so that I can help players and our staff find the answers to questions, logistical questions that they're having. I have to manage my team of anywhere between 60 and 80 volunteers in the last couple of years of people who have offered their time and their expertise towards making sure this rules light game in the middle of June can get off the ground and roll through. And then I'm also a storyteller myself. When people come to refs and have questions about what is possible in the world, I'm kind of where the buck stops before you get to our like full level story coordinators of our folks from Germany and our lore folks in the plot team. I can help people make decisions about what's going to fit inside the world and make suggestions about where they want to go next in their narratives.
Wait, like, and so I am a lover of storytelling. How much do you think? How much involvement have you experienced working with our sister event at Drakenfest Germany?
I've been very lucky that two of our board members have a great deal of experience with Drachenfest Germany and have brought their experience home with them to the United States and given us the chance to take a look at what they've done and make it distinctly ours. We've changed one of the colors of the dragon to help be a little bit more in line with what we are here in the United States. We've got a little bit more of a focus on the values that are important to us here in this country. Um, I've also learned a lot about how the guilds work over there and the sort of things that we can apply here. The Bazaar is a really unique play experience, and I think it thrives really well because we've brought the lessons that uh, Germany learned here for us.
Would you be able to give like one example of a the, a similarity that we have carried over, and or like something that we sort of brought over but made our own specifically? Like any specific instances of that?
So, yeah, so both of the games have a thieves guild. Uh, the
Which
thieves
totally
guild
doesn't exist.
totally doesn't exist. Absolutely not. What are you talking about? Theft is illegal in a lore sense.
Yeah.
But both games have this domain of play, this roguish domain of play, and Germany has had the opportunity to test out a bunch of different systems and see what things work. Because sometimes when you're playing in a game, you try something and it sounds really cool, but it doesn't work out quite as well as you hope. Um, some folks in the Mid Atlantic might be familiar with a game that previously did pickpocketing by attaching clothespins, like trying to sneakily attach a clothespin to somebody's pocket or their bag. Germany tried something like that, and they're still working on trying to find a good balance for that sort of roguish roleplay. We've decided that we're not doing that um, because we really wanted to focus more on uh, things like infiltration and lockpicking and things like that. Stuff that people could do that was more, I think personally, is less antagonistically focused and more narratively focused.
And that, yeah, I like, as a player, I do find that super important because like there's a fine boundary when it comes to like antagonism versus um yeah, being like more player driven, like in a way that it allows you to do what you want to do without ruining other people's fun. So as head ref, what are some of the physical tasks that you are set to do uh like during your time working at Drakenfest?
So the first year that I was the head ref, I clocked in over 20,000 steps a day for the entire week that I was there. So I do a lot of travel all over the site so that I can be where players are and where the refs are and be a resource available to them. I also help out with battle refing if there is a siege going on or a field battle or the final battle. Um, with the final battle, I've actually the last 2 years in a row been in the center and been one of the count off voices, basically myself and one of our board members and Red, so that people know when to get started on that final battle. I also spend a lot of time helping players, just sitting down with folks who need an ear. Maybe that's not physical, but it's letting people find a release for something because everybody's hot, tired, sweaty, hasn't slept well, hasn't eaten yet, and you've all been experiencing this rush of emotions as your characters get to play through their stories. Your body is still experiencing that. So sometimes people just need somebody to listen to them and let them help them figure out where they want to go with their next steps.
And like that's so important because like like again, as I'm speaking from player experience, like knowing that the people running the show like have an ear to lend definitely make, especially since Dragonfest Year One was my very first LARP like ever. So like knowing that I could talk with the refs was definitely, it made my experience so much more enjoyable. Reese, before we move on, can you talk with us about the role that every ref plays in the game? Like I guess like that's the best way I can phrase that.
So referees are an amalgamation of a number of things. Some folks who are working down with the camp players or with the bazaar, directly interlocked with the players who are running the narratives. They do a lot of stuff that is like being a GM for somebody at a tabletop. They are helping you. You're coming to them with this cool idea, and they're saying like, okay, here's how I would do that, or here's who you should go talk to about that, or they're running the mechanics for you, like behind the screen, sort of hey, we're going to stamp your potion that you've just made so that it's real, or fill out an item card. We don't have a whole lot of those, but you do end up with ref stamps for the ones that do exist. But it's a very different experience to our battle team, who are always on the go, because they are wherever there's fighting. That is going to be a large group of people that are fighting. They're not so worried about 1-on-1 or 5-on-5 duels. But if you've got 15 people who are bearing down on another 15 people, suddenly you've got a battle there with 30 people going ham, and so they are there to help keep eyeballs on everybody, make sure that things are safe, that the battlefield is safe. And that's an even differenter. That's a different experience again than our guild leads and the avatars and the seconds, because all of those cast roles, those are staff members. They are referees, trained as referees, who focus on, in the guild leads section, their specific domain of play: healing, fighting, magic, alchemy. And then our avatars and our seconds are referees as well. They're not really going to help you sign in for a potion, or go look up like does an orb of power go through a shield. They're not going to do that, but they are empowered to help you with the narrative aspects of things and to help you find who you need to go and talk to.
Thank you so much for all of that, because like that is, I could, like, personally, I couldn't imagine being able to do all that. But you also don't work alone, and you really do breathe life into the ref team, from what like I've personally observed. So thank you so much for everything you do, like, for real.
I'm living up to the example of the people that are on my team, frankly.
And you do so successfully. I think all of you do. But speaking of which, so Metal, you're a camp ref. You're in the front lines. Like, you are seeing, like, with the camp that you're working with specifically, at least, all of the player machinations that are going on, right? Can you explain for us the importance of like player guidance and what it means to interact with and work with the players under your charge?
Absolutely. So the camp refs are the sort of, like you said, the first line of interaction with players. It's the job of a camp ref to uplift player agency, to allow players to tell their own stories, and to interact with other camp refs, with the head ref team, with the bazaar team, and kind of like make sure that every player that wants to tell a story can tell the story they want to tell. And that is it is the nitty gritty of stamping cards and signing cards and ensuring that items that are added to the game are correctly done, and so that other people understand what's going on. It's knowing the rules of the game to be able to clarify for players. Just again, you're their first contact point. They come up to the ref stand for anything and everything, and you have to be able to be there for them, not just for their experience, but again, also for their agency. Camp refs also enable and empower camp rituals, which are sort of our lead story point, like systems where story gets created and where story gets wrapped up, and where camp stories get added into the larger zeitgeist of the game.
Awesome. Yeah, because having been at Shadow Camp every single year, because I'm just a filthy goth kid, being able to work with the camp refs there has, like, that's only just like elevated my experience. Speaking of experience, what's it like as a camp ref, working with your fellow camp refs and also working with other elements of the ref team beyond the camp?
It is so wonderful to be able to take emergent plot and run with it with a pressure cooker of other immensely creative people. with just bouncing ideas back and forth, you know, going over radios, going over other communication systems to try to be like, hey, I have this thing. And someone's like, from another camp all the way across the site, oh man, I have this thing. I'd love to loop that in. Can I help your players get involved with this thing? Hey, you had this thing last night. Can I pull those players into this storyline? And it is on the fly. It is so empowering and it is so much fun. Like, not from, you know, a player versus GM, like that forever GM sort of like situation. That doesn't happen here. You know, we are as much entertaining ourselves and being a part of the action as our players are. And I absolutely love it. Nothing like it.
As a forever DM, that like it's always great to see like the plans and plots and machinations that players want to fulfill either come to fruition or fail spectacularly. And it's also good to know that the camp refs also collaborate between each other, because like sure there's the competition between the players from camp to camp, but as far as the refs are concerned, correct me if I'm wrong, it's all a collaborative effort. It's all a collaborative experience. And I've definitely seen that in what I've seen of like directions given to players between camps when the refs are involved.
Yeah. Like when you're in, like I was a ref for you in Shadow Camp last year, right? I was definitely like your point of contact, and I'm like on your side to help you tell your story, but I'm on the side of the entire player base to ensure that fun is had and uplifted.
Absolutely. Now, you brought up an interesting term that I feel like a lot of baby LARPers like myself may not be too familiar with: emergent role play. Can you define that for me and for the audience?
Absolutely. Emergent roleplay happens live. It emerges. It comes from someone doing something, maybe intentionally, someone doing something unintentionally, like picking up, I don't know, a moon. And
I was about to make that example too.
Right? And it is something happens,
we got it
and
back,
then
everybody.
the snowball sort of rolls down the hill, or up the hill, depends on how it works. And it is just it runs with it. Like I said, it emerges out of nowhere, sometimes planned, sometimes unplanned, and we have to be able to respond to it. And we are so good at that. Like, I really want to give props to the whole team for that, and for players too.
Absolutely.
We've now gotten to the point where the momentum of the players understanding how this works means that it is just becoming easier for all of us, every single attendee and staff member at Dragonfest, to kind of make sure that plot is top notch.
Excellent, excellent. We're going to move on to the next one. So, Mars.
That's me.
Mars, you have a very important job. No, like, not to say that it's all on your shoulders, but I will say the bazaar,
Oh God,
just the
the bazaar.
bazaar, right?
Yep.
Bazaar.
Just the bazaar. There is no
just the bazaar. Whether or not Blue Camp has decided to siege it, which was a hilarious
Oh my
misunderstanding
gosh,
that
I
I
wasn't
think
even there for
it,
that. And I
listen,
came
it was
back
so funny.
afterwards and I was like, they did what now? How? First
But
of all?
as a ref of the bazaar, I would like you to tell me what domains of play do you go through every day when it comes to interacting with the players and really bringing to life this neutral ground that
It's
that
neutral.
players
We're
can
neutral. How
congregate
dare
and
you?
sort of meld away the camp identities.
So we touch everything in the game. Like every little aspect that happens in the game comes through the bazaar. And that's kind of like the point of it. It's what we want. We want the camps to venture out from just their camp. Like sure, there are people that love being in their camp all day, and we love those players too, but like the joy of Drakenfest is going out and experiencing this living world that is just continuing to shape itself around you. And in the bazaar, we get like everyone coming through, and they're looking for all sorts of things. Sometimes that's looking for the guilds, and sometimes that's easy. We just tell them like directions. Sometimes we're right next to the guild. Sometimes we have to maybe give you hints on how you might find a certain guild, or perhaps a certain rat that you might try to talk to find your way. Um, And like a lot of what we do is the same stuff that we do in the camps. Like we're also doing the item cards, we're checking weapons. There's a lot of things that go into it, but like our main responsibilities tend to be support. So like we're there to support the guild leads, we're there to support all of the enterprises, and we also support the merchants. So like we make sure that everyone has what they need to succeed. Sometimes that's like a physical thing that they're missing. We walk around with a lot of water bottles. It's really hot. Sometimes that's just like emotional support. It gets really wet. Sometimes that really sucks, and sometimes people just have to talk about how much that really sucks.
Especially given last year's tsunami, out
Yeah.
of nowhere.
Yep.
That is super appreciated. So, actually, you mentioned the guilds.
Yeah.
What is that like when it comes to collaboration and really bringing out the best guild experiences for players as a Bazaar ref?
So for us, it's a little bit more hands off than it is in the camp. So like we still interact with the players that come through, but we tend to be a bit more of like a direct guide and a little less hand on with the emergent roleplay. So like we make sure that if someone is looking to do something, we connect them with the right people to help them do that. If you're looking to do magic stuff, we bring you to the Magic Guild. If you're looking to do bard stuff, we take you to the Bards, Fighters Guild, all those fun places. The guild that doesn't exist, we won't necessarily bring you there, but we will help you along on your journey in whatever way that we can.
Speaking from personal experience,
Uh-huh.
and not as someone who has done this, but someone who's been approached because for some reason I fit a certain aesthetic.
Twirls
Don't
mustache evilly.
please new players, do not ask about guilds that certainly don't exist about where it is directly. That is a great way to just go missing.
Or
I
end up
actually-
as a
that's
red
my little
spot
tip.
on the ground.
That's my
perhaps.
little tip. Don't walk up to a dude who looks like he fits the bill and be like, I'm looking for a guild that doesn't exist. I will definitely be sending you to your
No.
death.
If
Yep.
you really want to find it, check in with your spy masters first. They probably know roughly
Yep.
what they're doing.
Yep. That, by the way, that's a great in. Talk with your spy masters. Find out who your spy master is.
Yeah.
One of the things about the
Mhm.
guilds that I want to say is, well,
Yeah,
first of
yeah.
all, the Bazaar refs are, since they're a little bit more hands off from a narrative story perspective with the players, are also really supporting their fellow ref team. They are supporting the guild leads in what they are doing. That's a lot of what the Bazaar crew is there for, is to make sure that this complex system that's going on behind the scenes in the Bazaar has what it needs to provide players with the support and the story that they're aiming for. The guilds themselves are aimed at they're focused on a particular domain of play, and they do it really, really well, and they are trying to give you an experience that is related to that. So, you're going to walk into the alchemy tent and you're going to feel like you've just entered the mad scientist laboratory, because that's, with the alchemy and the bubbling things. And you go into the healers guild and there's going to be bloody bandages and there might be an active surgery going on, or they might be taking something out of somebody, or they might be putting something into somebody. You're just going to have to ask. The thieves guild, the guild that doesn't exist, the roguish roleplay aspect that they are focused on isn't really. I mean, yes, it's the sneaky and it's the stabby and it's the climb over the walls and it's the lock picks, but it's the experience of trying to get into the sneaky club. It's the journey to getting into that experience that they're trying to provide. And that's not for everybody. That does not mean that you cannot go and do roguish roleplay completely on your own. One of the greatest things about our rules light system is you can do things narratively and you don't need the skills to do it necessarily.
That's definitely been I've reiterated I can words that point where like similarly to how like a mage can do mage role play without the direct involvement of the mage guild, speaking from experience as well with that specific example, the same thing goes for roguish play. You don't need to interact with the guild that doesn't exist in order to be the best darn rogue you can be. And it really is about the journey. Because as far as like my experience as a player, Drakenfest has always been about the role play getting to different points, not the end goal of I want to acquire this skill or I want to level up. It's just not the setting for it. And that's just me mentioning as much to temper expectations, right? Because the last thing you want is people to be frustrated if they are expecting one thing, because Drakenfest is a truly unique experience. But then realizing that that's not what is available, right?
This is an experiences game, not an XP game.
Yeah.
Yep. And as
Which
refs, our
I
job
adore.
is like, we're there to help you and answer questions for sure. But essentially, our job is to make sure that you enjoy the journey of getting to your goal and not necessarily like quick start you and like metagame you to the very end of your goal as fast as possible.
Absolutely. Speaking of the term, you look like just enough XP. Red. Red. You who have seen the glory of battle, have seen heroes and villains alike rise and fall and rise and fall and rise and fall and limbus and rise back up again, sometimes as a zombie, sometimes as not. You see all of the juicy fights, all of the theatric combats. Please tell me, what is your role, your task as a battle ref, and what does that look like for battle refs?
A battle ref's primary job is to keep all the players safe on the field. Now, this goes ahead and covers doing the weapons check at the beginning and during the game itself, checking all the siege weapons and giant monsters, making sure the battlefield is safe. During the battles themselves, we try to go ahead and take more of a, let's say, a free safety kind of position where other refs are going to go ahead and be watching the gates or making sure the siege weapons are staying safe. But us, on the actual battle team are going to be going ahead and making sure everything is flowing smoothly, that there's not anything we have to worry about, that there's not going to be a wall that's going to fall on somebody, which thankfully our build team is delightfully good at making sure that doesn't happen.
So
But
very good at it, yeah.
we're really there to do a lot of different jobs and just make sure that everybody has a good time and is safe about it.
I've come to find out in the 4 or 5 years that I've been LARPing, that safety will always trump anything else related to any kind of LARP event. Like even if that means like breaking the scene, breaking immersion, the bodily safety of players and refs always comes first. Just below that, it's also correct me if I'm wrong, but like battle refs also need to make some calls at certain times because it gets chaotic during like these sieges where there's 20 plus players on both sides actively interacting, right? What is the process? What is that like for a battle ref when uh a call needs to be made about like a ruling or making sure that the playing field is level?
Calls like that have to be made, because of safety concerns. When we're doing it, we have to basically make a very much a snap decision. Is this actually getting to be too much? Is it not getting to be too much? But when it gets to that point that we actually have to step in, we go ahead, we try to do it as quickly and as safely as possible so not to detract from anyone's fun. Because really, at the end of the day, we're all here to have fun. That's the point of all of this. But we want to make sure it's done safely. So yeah, we're going to potentially stop somebody, say, two sides are crushing together and there's people stuck in the middle as they've fallen. We're absolutely going to stop those fights, go ahead and let the fallen get out of the way so they don't get crushed underfoot, and then start them back up.
And and that's super important. I actually I have a personal experience from last year specifically because of how muddy and everything the storm made everything. I was in Shadow Camp. I was a part of one of both sieges on Red, right? And I remember it, like when it came to my hydration and me feeling overheated because I had never worn armor before. I was wearing armor then. Great year to start. But like completely taking me away from it and being like, oh no, like dude, you need to hydrate. Put a wet towel on your head, drink all the hydration. Y'all let me like sit in that tent for a moment, even though it wasn't my camp. and it wasn't my battle at that point, right? And like that's just that really shows like how much the staff takes safety before everything else, right?
Absolutely. We got to make sure that everyone is still all good to go no matter the time. And sure, there's going to be a little bit of, blurring of the lines between camps for the sake of safety. We all need to water up. We all need shade sometimes. We're all friends at the end of the day. We've got to go ahead and remember that. Sure, we're going to be beating each other with foam sticks for a little bit, but in the meantime, once it's all said and done, we need to remember, hey, we're all out here to enjoy ourselves. And imagine the stories you can tell afterwards if you collaborate, a little bit out of game after. Say, hey, how about we work something out with this and that? And all of a sudden, players are telling even better stories than they were.
Some of my favorite moments have been intercamp role play that was facilitated by refs. Definitely so many of my favorite moments. So, moving forward, you guys are talking about a lot of work, a lot of dedication to the craft of building a story, something like that will give players like myself an experience to remember. But it's not all work, is it? Right? How often do refs get to play? Anybody can answer this.
So I guess I'll go for that one. The ideal is a lot. Reese tells us every year the more refs we get, the less everyone works. In the past couple of years, it's been about a 50-50 split. So like we're working roughly half the time, and then we get to play for the rest of that time. And we get to do all the same things that players do. So like there's no limitations from us being on staff. We get to interact with all the stuff.
So just because y'all are like really doing a lot of the heavy lifting behind the scenes, it doesn't mean you guys don't get to have fun. Like there's the fun of being a ref and being able to bring all these stories to life through the game, through the system, through all of that. But you also get to live it yourselves, and I think that is so very important. So we the audience can absolutely let us know. Tell us any questions for the over the next 10 minutes that y'all would have for the refs, what it means to be a ref, like like as it pertains to the art of refing. Title drop. But but while we're waiting for chat to catch up with that, one at a time, I want each of you to tell me what your favorite experience was as a ref. We're gonna start with Reese.
This is a little bit more of a staff experience, but it is truly illustrative of one of the things that I find really engaging about Drachenfest from a staff perspective. I think 2 years ago, there was a group of new year one players who brought a skeleton, a Halloween skeleton, to the event. They dressed him up. They gave him a name. They brought him around with them. He was their necromantic friend who was unfortunately unable to speak for himself. And he became, as often silly things like that do, he became kind of a mascot for Blue Camp. It turned out that somebody up in Shadow Camp had also brought a Halloween skeleton and had dressed her up and was having her walk around with them as their friend. And one thing led to another, and the skeletons went on a date, and the skeletons decided that they were desperately in love and that they wanted to get married, and there was a marriage ceremony. And
this.
so the skeleton wedding is a beloved story of Drachenfest at this point. There are several nice, very great, nice pictures of the couple on the website. People from Blue Camp and Shadow Camp talk about it. They came back. The skeletons came back again this year, and they had a very nice date. It was very romantic. I was the Blue Camp lead ref when this was going on. We're not always on duty. Sometimes we're sleeping, we're showering, eating, playing. Um, and we leave each other notes so that there's continuity between one ref shift to the next, so that somebody who was helping run a plot in the morning shift, the afternoon person can help pick that up. Sometimes you have to call the person, or maybe like call around to try and figure out if somebody has some clarification on the notes, but you generally have an idea of what somebody did before you. because of the amount of work that I happened to be doing in my particular role as the lead and also assisting some other staff members, I was not getting the chance to read the notes very often. I was generally jumping in and immediately helping with things. So every once in a while, I would come up to a meal and somebody would stop me and would ask me about something that was going on with the skeletons that were in love. And I had no context for what they were asking me because at no point did the skeleton people come to me to ask me to help them with their story because it was just not on my shift. So every single time I went up to a meal, there was something new. Hey, Reese, did you hear that the skeletons went on a date? What skeletons are you talking about? Hey, Reese, did you hear that the skeletons went around and asked all of the avatars for blessings on their marriage? What skeletons?
Hey,
Oh
Reese,
my
did you hear
goodness.
that there is a skeleton baby?
Yeah, I have in fact now heard that there is a
Okay.
they that
All
they
right.
have
Yep.
they have
Have you
So-
heard that there's
you know,
skeleton daycare this year?
There
joyous
was.
blessings to the skeleton couple at this point, but this is a great example of the interconnectedness of the camps and all the staff. The staff are all working together to help people get their narratives together, to create narratives, to take things that just happen to happen. The fact that there was a skeleton in Blue Camp and a skeleton in Shadow is coincidence. Nobody, the plot team didn't plan that. The players themselves did not plan that there would be a skeleton romance. It just happened. But we all made it happen because we supported them in their efforts and their interests. And we tell each other these stories so that we can help each other tell stories better with you all.
I love that. I love that so much. And I remember all of that. Such good memories. So many skeleton babies. Moving forward, metal. Metal.
Yeah. Oh.
So as camp, real quick, as camp ref, player initiative is super important. Can you tell me the best example that you can think of in which you have helped support player initiative?
Absolutely. And I want to, this is going to circle back to not requiring skills or even official doesn't exist interaction with a guild or anything like that. I was on shift when a player approached me about wanting to take something that wasn't theirs. And within our rule system, there are items that are stealable, marked stealable, and had to help facilitate a heist as it started from one person, which then gathered a crew, acquired the target, went to the bazaar, acquired said target, while I'm listening to another camp also trying to do the same thing and to trying to heist the same object, just 3 steps behind the crew from my camp. And having to facilitate and work interconnectedly with the bazaar, because I had called up and it was like, hey, is this thing marked stealable? My players want to know before they get there because they can't quite see a tag on it. And none of that was involved with guilds that do or do not exist. And there was a continuation the next day. There was a note passed to someone while they were having lunch about the name of this like heisting crew, and to basically have gone and run a heist movie live was something I'll never forget personally.
That is so amazing because like that is a huge point of like what it means to be a camp ref, right? Is the player initiative, making sure to like collaborate and support what they want to do to the best of your abilities, right? Within reason, of course. So next up we have Mars. Mars. So bazaar refs and camp refs, like from my understanding, have like like you guys have different functions to fulfill, different roles to fulfill. What is it like what are those differences for you, and what is your fondest memory when it comes to being a bazaar ref?
Oh gosh. So last year was my first year as a Bazaar ref, and for anyone who was there last year, you know that we spent a lot of time doing some emergency response with the storms. Um,
Yep. Yep.
um,
Oh my good.
I would
Oh my
say that was
goodness.
like a majority of like what I did last year, as well as like all sorts of emergency response with everyone else. So like everyone ended up with wet stuff. Some people didn't have functioning tents anymore. We had one of the avatars' tents get blown all the way across a field, and their stuff got blown all the way across a
New
field.
rivers forming.
Yeah. So we had a lot of fires to put out, ironically, considering how wet everything was. Um and honestly, like it's not necessarily an in-game thing, but being able to just support everyone around me in whatever way they needed was something that was like really rewarding for me. Like we had some of our guild leads that were having bad weeks and we had to support them through all of the stuff going on. We end up with players that are having bad weeks and we have to support them through it as well. And like the goal is always that by the end of the conversation we have made anything even remotely better for them.
And that's like truly what matters, is like making sure that
Yeah,
we all have the best experience possible, even when the hand that we are dealt is not great,
sucks.
right?
And like I
Like,
think that's the majority of the Bazaar ref's job in one way or another is just making sure that everyone has what they need to succeed. Yes, we're still doing all of the physical things like items and stamping and weapons checking, which I know I've mentioned, but like a majority of it is really just checking in with everyone around us. We're checking in with the guilds, especially because like the guild leads are in character refs. They don't get to have comms on them the way we do. So if someone needs them, they contact us and then we go find them and we figure out the solution to whatever the problem is. And we tend to do the opposite of that as well. Like if a guild lead or an enterprise lead needs something from staff, they come to us and then we figure out how to get them what they're looking for. And sometimes it is just a player from a camp who needs something from their camp refs who doesn't want to walk all the way down to Green Camp and back again. And
cardiac
so
hill, am I
sometimes
right or am I right?
I love being at the top of the hill, and I love that that's where my life is for the week. I cannot
Lucky.
imagine the back and forth. So, like, sometimes
It's a
we're just
nightmare.
contacting other people for them so that they don't have to do that whole trip.
And for those of us who can't make cardiac hill, like, not speaking for myself, I can. I'm spry and limber enough. Um, but for those who can't, that is so appreciated. Also, if anybody has any sort of um, uh, physical limitations that make it difficult to do that, absolutely, please, always reach out to the refs nearby and make sure that y'all can get the help that you need from getting to point A to point B, or getting the word of what you need from point A to point B, right?
Yep. So,
Because
actually,
we're all trying to help out. Go on.
that is a great point that I didn't even think to discuss during this. I come from a maybe limited perspective of being someone who's chronically ill and is also on staff. And I always get the support that I need to do my job the way I need to. That ended up with me in the bazaar, which I love being in the bazaar. I'm so happy Reese put me there. It has been a great fit for me overall, not even just the location. But also, like, if there are days where I just can't do that hill and I have to do something in a different camp, I get a ride, and that is available for players that like really need that as well. Like we obviously can't do it for everyone, so like we do try to make sure it's just people who need it, but like if you need it and you need to go to the top of the hill and your body just can't do it, the staff will help you. And
Absolutely.
I think sometimes players don't know that they can ask staff for things like that. They expect that we're only here to help with the in-game stuff, but we're here to help with all of it. If there's literally anything we can do to make your life easier or better, we'll try and do it.
Heck yeah, and that's always super appreciated. Um, Last but certainly not least, I know I've said that once before, Red, but you are certainly not the least of us, sir. So as a battle ref, what are some of the most notable aspects? Like, what are what are some like what's the best parts of being a battle ref, do you think? Other
For
than making sure
me,
people are safe, yeah.
for me, it's I love getting able to watch every one of the battles that go down, or almost every one, because sometimes we have battles that happen on two different sides of the camp, which is
Mhm.
when I split the team in half and send the other half over to do it, or someone like Reese or some of the other refs, or even the board sometimes will step in and go ahead and give us a hand. But no, I absolutely adore being able to see and watch all of these battles. I come from a very fighting heavy background, and while I don't go ahead and fight pretty much at all at Drakenfest, which is somewhat hilarious to me, but it's one of those things
Battle ref that doesn't battle. Oh,
I get to live vicariously through everybody on site, and that is an absolute joy. I love it to death. Overall, I still got to say, 2 years ago, favorite battle ever is still going to be the blue and green siege. Blue
ooh.
came down to siege green. They were the two biggest camps. It went on for almost 2.5 hours. It was absolutely my favorite thing I've come across when it all the fights so far, and I'm hoping we trump it at some point.
I mean, year 2, I think it was silver, green, and red
Yep.
Siege Shadow for, I kid you not, I think it went up to like 3 or 4 hours.
It did. It
Yeah.
was a very long fight.
It
It was
was
very hot.
it was very hot. It wasn't getting as hot as it had been over the last few years, but like I was in there. It had gotten to the point where I wasn't even a member of Shadow Leadership, and our War Master had to tag me in to lead the troops because it was just going for too long.
We all
But
got to get shade. We all got to hydrate.
always. So moving on to questions and answers. We're gonna get to the final segment, right? And I'm I don't want this to end. I love talking with you guys about this, but first is Mellowman 3005. What skills are the most important for a ref to have and bring to the game with them? This is open to the floor.
I would say an open mind. You've got to be able to go ahead and keep the ability to keep an open mind with everything that comes at you, whether it's something that you're especially equipped for, something that you don't know exactly what to do with. Go ahead, try to look at whatever's being brought to you from every angle you can, and if necessary, tap in another ref to go ahead get their opinion. We work as a team. We have to go ahead and help each other out. If you don't necessarily know, don't be afraid to ask. I do it all the time.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Yeah, very similar to that. I'd say the ability to yes and the players. So, like, we have a rule set, obviously, and some of those rules are like hard rules, but some of those are soft rules. So, like, being able to work within the rule set to help the players achieve what they're looking for is like an exceptional skill to have.
I would add on to that a, knowing the no but as well, right? That other side of that improv and right remembering that boundary,
Yep.
like absolutely not. But a skeleton wedding. Can I offer you a skeleton wedding in
Yeah.
trouble?
Your emotional support skeleton baby.
I'm gonna cap this out with the ability to not take things personally. Um,
Yep.
we are all out at an experience, which I have said already once, hot, sweaty, sticky, you haven't slept, you haven't eaten, you need to take a shower, and somebody just stepped on your foot. Those players are all having these experiences. The characters that they're playing, your body is still experiencing the joy, the sadness, the anger. Even if you yourself know that it's just a game and it's just a story being told, you may be having a reaction as a player to something that's going on. As a ref, it's really important to be able to provide the players with a place to listen, a potential pathway to an answer. We're not going to always be able to say, hey, we can solve it, but we can point you in the direction of a solution, hopefully. And know that whatever is coming at us, it's not because it's us, it's because the situation has got that person stressed out. So the ability to not take things personally.
So important, so important, especially when like in a competitive game like Dragonfest can get. There's a because there's a lot of like just casual role play, and so many people make just that their experience and have a blast. But like, especially when it comes to like, you're fighting in the thick of it, and tensions are high, and like as a mage, like sometimes my magic won't go off, and or I'll notice that a player didn't notice, right, that I was pointing my magic at them. That's going to be frustrating, right? And I do find it important not only for players to reel it in, but also for refs to understand that sometimes a player won't be able to in time to give the ref an earful, right? So like, yeah, that is super important. But also be kind to your refs, just always. I'm just gonna, as from one player to another, looking at the camera, fourth wall break. Be kind to your refs. So second question, GG that was presented to you while refing, and how did you handle it?
Wow.
Was anyone here for the moon plot? Anyone involved in that one? I feel like that would have been great.
I only heard about the end of the moon plot, unfortunately. So, but it actually, I do have something related to the moon plot that's a
Mm.
challenge. What a player sees happening on the field, whether that's the actions of another player or the actions of the ref team, is not the whole story. We are making decisions as the ref team based on the information that we have and what we think is going to produce the best answer, the best story, the most satisfying end for as many people as possible. The moon plot crafters who came up, who built the new moon, which is now in the Drakenland sky, uh, put a lot of effort into the actual prop that they built at the event of the moon. Unfortunately, it was made out of leather, and so it was very heavy. And so while we were trying to figure out a way, as the board and the upper level staff, to have the moon rise in the background and go off into the sky, we tried a drone, we tried to find a mic boom. It just didn't quite work out so that we could use that prop to and showcase what the players had done. So we reverted back to the actual lighted prop that started the whole thing, the bedside lamp moon that was about this big because it was really light. And so we could use that to lift up and show that the moon was getting put back in the sky. Players who were involved in the crafting stuff felt like because they didn't get to showcase what they did to the rest of the game that we thought it didn't matter, that we were just saying, oh, well, we're just going to cap out the plot. We're not going to say anything about it. We're not going to include anything in the final battle. We're just going to have it, oh, it's going to go up into the sky and we're done. I promise you, we as the upper level staff tried as hard as we could to come up with an answer in the time that we had. So explaining that to players, and again, it's nothing personal. I don't feel like the players are mad at me. I feel like the players are mad at the situation, rightfully so from their perspective. You just need to let it roll off and calmly provide the explanation and know that sometimes you're not gonna reach people. That's okay. That's the challenge, to be able to say, hey, I need to let it roll off my back, and I also need to be able to let it go when I know I'm not gonna make it better by continuing to help. But it's a skill you gotta learn.
Oh yeah. So before we begin to close everything out, I have a question for all of you. Doesn't need to be, doesn't need to be a lot, but as a ref, what is something that you're looking forward to next year, this year? We'll start with Reese again. I'll just go down the line as I'm petting my void boy here.
My favorite part of the festival is the immersive experience of it. And I'm not talking about necessarily the fighting or the narratives or the magic. I'm talking about that moment when it's 9 o'clock at night and you're walking down the path and you can hear the music from Blue Camp because the altar is in full ruckus, and you can hear the music from the Green Tavern. Um, and people walk on the path and are chatting about what's going on, and the world feels real in that moment, that you are actually there. That's my favorite thing. That's what I'm looking forward to, is that moment of escape that some of us so desperately need right now.
So very important. Metal. What are you looking forward to as a ref next year?
I mean, Reese stole my walk down the road at night, so
the audacity!
Kind of spin my wheels.
The audacity.
No, I am gonna be in Green Camp this year as a camp ref, and I am looking forward to telling Green stories. It's been a long time since I have had the opportunity to be in that kind of role play situation, so I'm looking forward to dusting off some of that muscle.
Heck yeah. Mars, what are you looking forward to as a ref this year? Right this time.
I'm looking forward to the return to the community. We end up with so many different communities in the game. Like, we've got the game as a whole. Each camp ends up with their own little tight-knit community. The Bazaar ends up with their very large tight-knit community that kind of includes everyone. And then we've got like our little like individual staff pods as well. So like I'm just really excited to get to see everyone again. There's people that I only ever see at Dragonfest. And like we talk online, but it's not the same as getting to just like hang out at a tavern in the middle of the night and listen to Blue Camp all the way down the hill and still hear them all night. There's something like special about getting to just chill with your friends in a world that is make believe, where like we can just do whatever we want.
Hell yeah. Red, what are you looking forward to as ref this year?
I'm looking forward to seeing everything come together at the end. Not just player side, but staff side. I love watching a good story, a good world be woven together into a coherent whole. Being able to see the players go ahead and tell these unique, fun, entertaining stories, watch them fail, watch them succeed, watching staff and all of our refs go ahead and be able to help each other out, going to tell their own stories as well in the process. Just being able to watch it all from, a slightly elevated view, usually on top of the castle, let's be honest. But
best spot, best place in town.
It's my favorite spot to go and drink. Let's be honest. But no, it's all of this come together.
Job. We only drink off the job.
Absolutely, I do not drink at all during the gig. It is a dry season only while I'm on. But being able to see everything come together is absolutely my favorite thing at Drakenfest, because it always comes together. Not always how we anticipate, but it will come together, and that's a joy.
I have to agree. Some of my favorite moments have been times where moments, scenes, interactions that I had exactly no plan for. We've been talking about the art of reffing, title drop, and getting to really understand like the machinations, what it means to be a ref, what it's what kind of duties that y'all fulfill, and how you guys really bring this event together for the enjoyment of all, including yourselves. But if someone were to want to be a ref, where would they go?
Sounds like
straight to Reese.
Like a Reese question.
On the Drakenfest website, there is a get involved option, and one of the drop down options is join the ref team. It asks you some questions about who you are, what sort of LARPs you've played. We've had people who have never played LARPs before. Please do not think that if you are brand new to the game, to the hobby, that you can't be a ref. Some of my proudest moments are watching some of our first year refs get it, like it lock in for them, and them have such a grand time with it. We're gonna train you with what you need to know. So it asks you some questions like that. It asks you if you have some special skills, like folks who are super into battle might be part of the battle team. You get to interview with my team, myself, or the other assistant head refs, and then you get onboarded if you're interested after the conversation. And of course, also on the website under that drop down is the benefits of being a ref, because it's not just all the
You're
excitement.
not doing it all just cause.
Yes,
There are perks, ladies, gentlemen, and
For
non-binary.
the love of the
folks.
game.
there is in fact perks. It starts off with your ticket to the game is completely free. There's a discount for a person who might be driving along with you to get to the game. There's a meal plan, so breakfast, lunch, and dinner of some of the finest scout camp style food that you can find.
It's so good.
And in other years, we've had discounts with some of our partners. And while I desperately need to send some of them out in the mail to folks, we get commemorative coin sets for each year as well.
Yeah, and we'll be going over the benefits a bit more thoroughly in our next live stream at the end of this month.
Which there is another live stream at the end of this month. Absolutely stay tuned for that. Thank you all so much for this opportunity to talk with all of you. And like also me feel like I feel like I have been enriched as a player to get to know you guys and get to know like really what all this effort that y'all put into this. And I can't thank y'all enough, because y'all, if it wasn't for refs like you guys, I wouldn't have stayed in LARP. It probably would have just been a one and done deal for me at Dragonfest Year 1. Yeah. Do you guys
Refs
have any?
are like so important, and I think it's a thing that we all experience in LARP communities where we forget how important staffing is. And we like to see all the cool things that games do, but we don't necessarily think about the community's responsibility to making sure the game can function. So, like, yes, Drakenfest is vacation for a lot of people, but it doesn't work unless some of us are willing to volunteer our time to make sure it works. And that's why we're doing these live streams, is to like talk about the importance of what this job is and what it does for the community.
If you love Play to Lift and like and want to just like give to the community. Also, the ref team in general, like as a whole, you guys also have like a really cool community yourselves, like within like among the refs as well. So it's almost like you guys get this the privilege to like live in this overlapping these two overlapping Venn diagram communities where you get to enjoy each other as well as like with your fellow larpers, right? And like that just means so much.
The tongue in cheek of surviving the tsunami is trauma bonding. Uh,
Yep.
but in the efforts that we all go through truly do create a community together.
Absolutely. And with that, I think this has been an amazing stream.
Thanks so
Thank
much,
you very much, Hugh.
Hey, it's my pleasure, like completely. And
Hugh, before we go,
Mm.
what's your
What's it?
thing that you're looking forward to this year as a player?
Oh, as a player?
Yeah.
Well, I'm so glad you asked, Mars. What I'm looking forward to is causing some shenaniganery when it comes to greater ritual magic. Something that me and a few collaborators have been working on in conjunction with the refs. Because if y'all want to do some really bonkers stuff, talk to your refs. That's the best way that you can get that started. And so, if everything goes according to plan, and we are not hit with a sudden typhoon again,
Don't jinx us.
Knock on wood.
things are going. Things.
Thank you.
Things in the magic world might shake up a little bit. That's all I can say.
Ooh.
Ooh, exciting.
I'm excited for somebody to walk into the meal tent and go, so did you hear about the ritual circle? What ritual circle?
That said, thank you all so much, everybody. And y'all
Thank
have a
you
good one.
all.
Love your faces.